In Kendrick Lamar's Untitled, Unmastered album, Kendrick takes a very interesting approach into showing mankind's dark mind and psyche. In this album, Kendrick looks at our fears which arise from our guilt, our vices and desires, and the emptiness of desires compared to something greater. All of this is layered over a very smooth, traditional, funky, and hypnotic production. A production that's so smooth, you don't even realize the world is burning around you. If you like analytical videos on the deeper meaning of hip-hop culture and art, and its connection in relation to other mediums, then subscribe and stay tuned for more videos like this. Kendrick starts off the album with a bang, or rather, a more apocalyptic bang. Kendrick explores the apocalypse, the finality of man, and all that there is. Throughout all of the religions and myth of man, there is a tale of a final revelation, a final doomsday, upon which all that is will come to a final decision, a final culmination of all things into a final end, into Armageddon. Kendrick explores this concept in all its horror and crazed, anxiety-filled reality. Kendrick starts the album with Untitled No. 1, where he begins the song with a deep, voiced man speaking seductively, almost like the devil. He is seducing a woman slowly, patiently, as if he has all of eternity and there is no need for rushing. He refers to his object of affection as a little lamb. The lamb is a popular symbol in religion, especially in Christianity. The lamb represents innocence, purity, but in the New Testament, it also represents Jesus and God, which are different and the same thing. At least according to Christian doctrine. The lamb is seen in the book of Revelation, which is the last book in the Bible, which is about the end of the world, with 7 horns and 7 eyes. This same lamb takes God's judgment scrolls and breaks the 7 seals, which brings about the 4 horsemen who will bring about the end of the world. This end of the world is what Kendrick goes forward into describing in the rest of the song. Kendrick sees it well. Life is no longer going to go on continuous like it always did. Life is now ending for good. The apocalypse is beginning. All the birds and deer and all the sweet things we associate with nature are taken away for good. All that we once held dear and beautiful are destroyed. The ground itself, the thing we walk on, swallows up with no mercy the things we hold dearest and most innocent to us, which is the woman and the child. If the ground, the very thing we tread on in our normal lives, is not only now hostile to us, but hostile to the most innocent amongst us, this truly speaks the end for our race. Buildings and great infrastructure turn to dust as if nothing. The smell is unbearable, much like hell, where our condemned bodies burn for all of eternity. The heat and flames of this world are already unbearable, but in hell, it continues till time immemorial. Niggas is getting cooked with absolutely no mercy, and this shit is gruesome. Preachers, murderers, the famous, all are getting their fair deal. Kendrick starts the album off with this, setting the mood. He explores the repercussions of our quote-unquote sins, our faults, our vices, and where they ultimately lead to. We all go in our day-to-day enraptured and completely caught in what we do normally. We give no second thought to our actions and their repercussions. This is how we carry ourselves for most of our lives. But when Judgment Day comes, we are all caught in fear, for we start second-guessing everything, especially the wicked amongst us. The next thing Kendrick chooses to look at is how we got there to begin with. He begins to examine our desires and the vices that those desires lead to. In Untitled No. 5, he dives fully into these causes. Kendrick looks at the desires of each race. Asians, blacks, whites, Indians. These desires show us how the hell, no pun intended, we got to the apocalypse in the first place. With the black man, it's the obsession with pussy. The black man in the US is only concerned with sexual pleasures, satisfying one's id. It is concerned with nothing else. Everything is judged by the value of a woman's vagina. How well are you as a player? How well are you as someone who seeks to conquer a woman sexually? This is all that the black man is concerned with on a superficial level. Then, Kendrick goes on to the white man. Kendrick examines the desires of the white man, which is a peace of mind. This piece of quote-unquote mind is historically tied to how Europeans in the late 17th to 20th century went around the world, conquering every piece of land they could. They took ownership of everything the earth has to offer, and this carries on in certain ways today, one of which is in music. In music, artists are known to signing to labels which are either owned or underneath a label that is owned by some old rich white men. In these labels, everything the artist is, is owned by the label. The label pimps the artists for their talent, and they end up being owned and used, much like many people throughout the world. These are just two examples, and sure, they're not universal. So before you become butthurt, not every black man is out here being an animalistic horn dog who has no intellectual thought in his head, nor is every white man out here secretly plotting to steal your land and all your shit. But the point of these verses can still hold some truth. In the mainstream and in the legacy of both races, these are traits which are associated with them, and which are glorified or left unanswered and unchallenged. In them being unanswered and unchallenged, or even glorified, they become the norm and the standard for both races. Even though not every member falls into these tropes ultimately though are what guides the races and humanity as a whole towards damnation and eternal suffering. All of these things and desires are futile compared to the greater good and glory of an all-benevolent God. But don't worry, I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not even Christian myself. Even if that is the case though, I can still understand extremes, which vices always are. And I can see that they can lead to doom and misfortune. In a way, we can see the first song as a symbolic or literal representation of the consequences of our actions when we act from a purely extreme, lustful, and greedy desire. We must aim for balance, lest we destroy ourselves. This exploration of our vices and the exemplification of doom and destruction, which can be brought upon us if we don't control those vices, is what Untitled Unmastered chooses to explore. Kendrick does this over a harsh, smooth, and dark production, which further hits the message home. Hopefully, we leave this album wiser, smarter, and more conscious of the misdeeds we commit, and how those misdeeds can harm us terribly. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more videos and analyses just like this. If you see what I'm seeing, or not, let me know in the comment section, and why. Thanks, and peace.